Bad assumptions ruin more retirement plans than bad investments. And the tricky part is that many of these assumptions feel completely reasonable. So in today's video, I'm going to walk you through the 6 most dangerous assumptions I see pre-retirees make. My name is Scott Caufield. I'm a CPA and CFA charter holder and the founder of Sophos Wealth Management. So let's get right into it. The first one is the assumption that my spending will drop significantly in retirement. There's an old rule of thumb that says you'll spend about 80% of what you made while you were working, or you'll spend about 80% of what you spent while you were still working. Now, in my experience, that's just often not true, especially for higher income households. In fact, what I typically see is that spending stays the same or even increases, especially in the early years. Why? Well, because those first 10 years, these are what we call the go-go years. This is your opportunity to catch up on travel, to engage in those hobbies. I think for a lot of people that live the type of retirement that I would like to have, they're very active. And when you've got all that free time to fill, a lot of activities, they cost money. So unless you're really planning on not doing a lot in retirement, especially those first 10 years, I think this is an assumption that can easily get you into trouble. And how much you spend is really the biggest thing that you have control over. This is the biggest lever you can pull to help put your retirement in a good spot. Those who end up spending a lot more than they thought run into trouble with their retirement plans. Now, the second assumption is that Medicare will cover all of your healthcare cost. And this one catches a lot of people off guard. Medicare is definitely helpful, but it is far from comprehensive. Medicare does not cover copays. It doesn't cover deductibles. It doesn't cover prescription drugs. It's also generally going to exclude dental, vision, and hearing. More importantly, Medicare does not cover long-term care. So think about like nursing homes or assisted living. And these can be shockingly expensive when needed, sometimes $100,000 plus per year. So Fidelity has research showing that retirees should expect annual out-of-pocket medical expenses of over $3,500 per person in retirement. In fact, their research says that an average 65-year-old couple retiring today can expect to spend $345,000 over their retirement for healthcare and medical expenses. Medicare definitely helps. If you've ever been on public health insurance, you had to go through the marketplace, you know how expensive that is. But just keep in mind, you will still be paying some out-of-pocket costs in addition to your Medicare Part B and Part D premiums. The third bad assumption I see is people extrapolating their investment returns. They assume that, hey, my investments will average 10%, just like they always have. Now, easy to see how people got there. From 2009 to 2025, the S&P 500 has returned nearly 15% per year. That is an incredible run, and it's led to a lot of people to expect similar returns going forward. Here's the problem. Those returns are significantly above historical averages. So the historical averages are closer to 10% per year. And these 15%, per year type returns are very unlikely to continue, at least over the long run. In fact, I would argue those strong returns have led the US stock market to its most expensive valuation levels in history. That means that future returns are actually likely to be lower than the historical average going forward. So if you take a look at like a valuation chart like this, you can see where we are today is the most expensive stock market in history, or right near. 2021 was another peak, 1999 was another peak, 1929. Those are not good comparisons. The markets had huge drawdowns after that. Now, even when I see people using more conservative assumptions, they might use 7% a year, 8% a year, I see a lot of pre-retirees expecting consistent, smooth patterns of returns in retirement. So this ignores sequence of returns risk. And this is, that is a major, major risk. It is like the number one thing that hurts withdrawal rates. So if you get really poor returns your first decade of retirement, it could ruin your whole retirement plan, even if over, say, a 30-year retirement, your overall returns are average. Again, if the first 10 years are bad, it just decimates what you've saved and makes your withdrawal rate way too high, and is just never able to make up for it. With valuation levels currently near historic highs, your retirement plan should account for the possibility of lower returns in the future, and certainly should account for more volatility potentially going forward. Now, the fourth assumption is that I can rely on Social Security to cover a big chunk of my expenses. Now, to be fair, for the average retiree, Social Security does provide around 40% of their income. However, for higher net worth individuals, it's usually much less impactful, so they have to fund much more of their spending from savings. But there's another layer of uncertainty here. The Social Security Trust Fund is projected to run out of money in 2032, and that would cause a 24% reduction in benefits if left unchanged. This is based on current projections. Now, that is a huge deal. That would be a 24% cut across the board immediately in that 2032 date. Now, to be fair, politicians will almost certainly change the law before that happens, although I'm guessing they will not change it until it is an absolute crisis, until the deadline is maybe weeks or months away. And how will politicians fix Social Security? Well, I mean, it could mean higher taxes, it could mean reduced benefits, or some combination of both. But high earners especially should be cognizant of the possibility that their benefits will be reduced in the future. So at least stress test your plan to include that. Now, the fifth dangerous assumption I see, my Excel spreadsheet says I'm fine. I've reviewed a lot of DIY retirement spreadsheets over the years, and almost all of them have at least one very significant, very meaningful error. And I mean, the errors are across the board. Now, earlier in my career, I shunned planning software. I kind of favored tools like spreadsheets. I thought garbage in, garbage out. If anybody can build a good retirement model in Excel, it should be me. I'm a chartered financial analyst. I'm a CPA. I figured I knew everything that I needed to know to build a good model. Plus, I started my career at Deloitte, so I learned to be a pretty good spreadsheet monkey. But even with that background, I found that building a fully accurate retirement model is incredibly time consuming, and it's very, very easy to get wrong. You have to deal with inflation, taxes, social security strategies. Did you think about healthcare costs, long-term care, investment returns, withdrawal strategies? What if you were going to change some of those around? How easy and how dynamic is your spreadsheet? So there are so many moving pieces that it's very easy to make a mistake. And since you're dealing with compounding numbers, a seemingly small mistake in 1 year can build up to a massive mistake over time. So even if you're capable of building a decent retirement spreadsheet, you really should ask yourself whether you can truly trust it and if it's even worth your time. Most people I talk to, when it's all said and done, would say it is not. And even those who say that it was worth their time are usually in denial about the mistakes that their spreadsheet has made because they've put so much time into it. It's become their baby. You'd be surprised how attached to these spreadsheets people get. I think it's kind of that IKEA effect, right? When you build your own furniture and you spend hours and hours building some silly cabinet, you're kind of proud of it and you enjoy it at the end because you put so much work into it. I think that can be true with some of these spreadsheets. A lot of the mistakes I see in these spreadsheets are just over optimistic. They're assuming these investment returns that are just perfect. It's at 8% every year. It's at 10% every year. Or they forget inflation, or they don't have anything for healthcare. They don't have anything for long-term care. So these big missing inputs just make the plans look overly optimistic. They make them look like they're in a better situation than they are. And the sixth one is the assumption that planning is all about math. So 99% of retirement plans focus exclusively on the math. How much have you saved? How much are you going to spend? What your returns might be. And I mean, it makes sense, right? I'm a numbers guy. This is, what I'm presenting to clients. But not nearly enough time is spent on the life aspect. Retirement is not just a financial transition. It is a life transition. When you retire, you're not just losing a paycheck. You're losing structure, routine, and really a big part of your identity. So you might go from spending a few hours a day with your spouse to spending all day, every day. That's a big transition, and some people are just not ready for it. So really your question should be, what are you retiring to? Everyone wants to retire from their job, but what are you retiring to? Do you have hobbies? Do you have community, relationships? Do you have purpose? Are these things lined up ahead of time? And the more you've thought about that and kind of taken the steps to build those things, the better and more fulfilling your retirement is going to be. I think the happiest retirees don't just have a good financial plan, they really have a plan for how they're going to spend their time. And one bonus assumption that doesn't get talked enough about is your health. A lot of people assume they're going to have unlimited time to do everything they've dreamed about in retirement. But in reality, that go-go window, the years when you have the health and energy and vitality to fully enjoy your retirement, is often shorter than people expect. Health issues often show up earlier than planned, and they can significantly limit what you're able to do. So this is why timing matters. I've seen people work longer than they need to, only to give up some of their best, healthiest retirement years in the process. So make sure you're not just focused on some arbitrary number, that you don't have any sort of plan, and you're just working for the sake of working, because an object in motion stays in motion. If you're doing that, you might be giving up some of your most valuable time. Retirement planning isn't just about maximizing dollars. It really is about making the most of your time and money. So if you can avoid these assumptions and build flexibility into your plan, you're already ahead of most pre-retirees. Because often it's not just one mistake that derails a retirement, it's just a handful of small assumptions that can kind of quietly add up over time and turn into big mistakes. So let me know of any other faulty assumptions you think I might have missed in the comments, and give this video a like. And if you found this useful, I'd appreciate it if you'd subscribe to my channel. Thanks.